You've always been fitness-based, man. You've always been aware. I was going to say, did coming clean, the whole fitness thing, and like, I mean, you're an intelligent guy. You know about chemical makeup of shit, the human body. Like, you took PTing seriously.
Yeah.
You know, you're not like, me and my mates joke about it when your PT needs a PT because they've got no fucking idea.
Oh, man. I ended up getting a coach recently, right? Because I want to take it to the next level. Just strip away the old me completely. And I had a couple of people bring that topic up, like, oh, what do you need a coach? You're already a coach. I'm like, well, yeah, I know my stuff, right? But it doesn't mean I can't learn anything from someone else.
That's the point, that we're constantly going to be learning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it's very egotistical to think that I would know everything.
Yeah, no, totally. Okay, so do you think everything you knew about fitness and all that, do you think that played a part? Like, what, going full circle, all right, you've come in, you've gone out the other end. Now you're, like, I mean, you're doing training yourself. You competing?
No, definitely not competing.
You're not going to look at doing it?
I'm not interested in it. I think life is too short to be hungry, Dim. Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to blow out again. Never. Yeah. I'm taking my fitness seriously. I'm taking my weight training seriously because I do have a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to talk about injuries, when I was getting myself healthy again, I ended up getting hit in Centre Road by a four-wheel drive, right?
Fuck.
While I was on a push bike. So ended up tearing my shoulder, destroyed my hip. So it's a wonder that I'm even actually like standing upright some days.
Yeah.
So pushing it to the point where I would be competing in bodybuilding or like powerlifting or anything like that, I would need to be on some serious pharmacology.
Yeah. I was saying it to someone, I remember a while back. It was when I started doing fitness again, but taking it as seriously as I could possibly take it.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, I'm not big into regimens. I'm not disciplined enough. It's not even that I'm not disciplined. I just don't have the time, man. Fitness, man, to take it 100% seriously, you need time and structure. And my lifestyle, man, there is no the only structure is I cannot sleep. I need to get work done.
Yeah.
That's the only structure. You know what I mean? Like,
there's things that are more important to you.
Exactly. I just don't have the discipline and the time to do it. But obviously fitness has always been a big part of my life. This is the most unfit I've ever been in my entire life, and it's disgusting. I actually went to the gym this week for the first time since lockdown started, and I did 2 days straight of just upper body and just a bit of cardio on the bike.
Nice.
Dude, I couldn't get out of bed yesterday.
Oh, really?
My arm, look at this. My arm can't stretch past that.
Oh, I miss that pain. That's like the first hit of drugs.
Yeah. But the thing is, the sickness in me, I went back the next day and just started doing curls, full weight. You know why? It's because I'm angry and disappointed in myself because I'm looking at what my maxes used to be.
Oh, don't never do that.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, hang on, man. I used to warm up with like 12 kilo dumbbells. Why can I'm peaking at 8? You know what I mean?
I get it.
It hurts, man.
It's the ego, right?
Yeah.
It's the ego messing with you.
Yeah.
But when you're going back after an extended time, you always have to start at the bottom again.
I don't have the patience for that because you know what you could do. You know, I saw photos of me from 2012 where I did Tough Mudder, and I'm like, I get puffed out walking to the servo now to get milk. I did Tough Mudder, man, like 10 years ago.
That's the ego, man. I was exactly the same way, right? Exactly the same way. I thought to myself, when I was in my mid-20s, I was big, man.
Yeah,
like, I tell my coach, I tell like people that I see nowadays, like, don't look at me the way I am right now. I was like, I remember, even Mike will tell you this, all right? When I cracked the shit, remember when I was dating?
Yeah.
I cracked the shit when I was on the phone to her one day at a phone box, and I ripped the phone box out of the ground. Like, that's how big and strong I was. But after a while, I wasn't. And so, I mean, what am I going to do? Just go back to curling like 60-kilo barbells? I'd kill myself.
I remember seeing those on like the Facey days, like the really early days, man. Like just photos, yeah. Of like, how is that even possible? How is this man doing it? So let me ask you. This is what I was sort of leaning before. Like, gone full circle. What can you put down your recovery to?
I wanted my life back. I wanted me back, and I wanted my family back. I didn't want to go through life as that cautionary tale. Like, this guy could have been this, but instead he became like a junkie or an addict. And like, there's nothing else that he could offer, his peers or his family after that. I wanted to, look, and that's where ego protected me. Right? I couldn't let it go. I wanted to come full circle again. And initially, I'd say it started as me trying to prove people wrong. Because people already had that idea about me, like he's a junkie, right? And
what was your goal? What was your end goal that you saw as in having, like, what you were working towards?
I wanted my life back.
That's it? Just to be able to say, I can be proud of who I am. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Looking back in the mirror, I guess.
Definitely. Looking back in the mirror took a long time. A long time. And it wasn't just because I had physically changed. It was until I could actually look at myself, look in the eyes, right, and say, okay, I'm proud of you again. Because up until that point, like as an addict, there's things that you have to do to survive, right? There's people you have to hurt, whether it's physically, emotionally. There's people you have to steal from to survive. I remember when I was living in my car and having to steal like salami and bread from Safeway, man. Otherwise you don't eat. I remember waiting at McDonald's, waiting for people to leave their food so I can go and eat it. People don't understand how hard it is. It's not fun.
Nah.
At all.
Fucking shit, man.
And the only thing that I had kept that whole time while I was sleeping rough, so to speak, is a gym membership, because I learned this trick from another homeless person. Because, man, it's a cheap way of having a shower, right? And occasionally having a nap, because there were 24-hour gym memberships. So I would go in there at night time, clean up, get ready for the day.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a secure place as well. It's not like anyone's coming in there.
Exactly. And how many people are really going to be there at like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning? Not many. Except that guy that's probably like, blasting his body full of Tren and fucking test. I'm jumping on stage in 5 weeks.
Fuck, man. It's weird, man, because like I said, I've known you since I was like 15, so I've read about this, but I haven't heard it like full pelt, so it's sort of like a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
How do you feel now, like coming out of what you've come out of? When you look back, what is it what do you take from all that?
Look, I'm not going to be cliche and say I'm glad for everything that I went through because it's making me the person that I am today.
No.
Because if I could have it all back again, I would not go through that. That was traumatizing. That took years off my mental health. Right? And as a result of it, I know that I'm now at least 3 to 4 times more likely to die from suicide because I've attempted it so many times. Right? So I'd like to say, what I went through it really defined the person that I am, and I've helped so many people because of it. Well, yeah, I have helped a few people because of it, but it broke me.
Yeah, the cost of it.
Yeah, it broke me in ways that I didn't know I could be broken.
I've said this many times, man. When I talk about my demons from, like, say, being bullied in high school, all the shit that I've gone through up until this point. People are like, but it made you who you are. I'm like, yeah, but I would rather have been just a happy fucking person.
That damn straight.
I would rather have had a normal fucking job, a normal upbringing, a normal this, a normal that, and not have had to work against the tide every single time.
Yeah, man. It's exhausting.
People that say that sort of shit are people that have never felt like...
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. True pressure in their life, man.
Yeah. Their type of pressure is like, my coffee's not ready in fucking time.
Yeah, first world problems.
First world, like purely stereotypical shit, and that pisses me off. Anyone that says, but that built your character, like, fuck off.
Who you say that to me?
Yeah. Like, fuck me, man. What do you reckon needs to be in place to avoid having this sort of thing blowing up and being a pandemic, like an epidemic as it does? Like in the urban areas, gentrified areas and shit like that. Knowing what you know. Because you said you had a good team behind you.
You need a good support network, man. Like, if we're talking about prevention, like, you need education, first of all. Like, these kids need to be traumatized. They need to be shown all the scars and the ugly side of things, yeah? Not just the romanticized, we used to do this much fucking coke, and, we used to pick up on a Saturday night and live in hotel rooms for $2,000 a night. They don't need to hear that. Right? They need to hear, I lived, on nothing. Right? I robbed people. I was hated. I was persecuted. I had nothing to eat. I was gang bashed. I was kidnapped.
Yeah, dude, I read that. What the fuck was that, man?
Oh, that was the carjacking.
Yeah, what the hell was that?
Yeah,
I'm glad you brought it up. I completely forgot about it.
That was interesting.
What the fuck happened?
So
interesting.
I was at Oakley Station. I was on the phone to my now ex-fiance, and I can't remember what had happened. Something had happened, and out of the pokies come two local boys that a friend of mine had ripped off, right? And when he ripped them off, I was with him. I didn't know he had ripped them off, but obviously guilty by association, right?
Yeah.
So these guys just want to take their frustrations out on someone. I've been awake like 5 days by this stage, so I had no fight in me. I just went along with it. I'm like, fuck it, why not? I'm already worthless. Well, what else can happen? So I had one guy like choking me from the back, and the other guy's like sitting there punching me in the face, and they saw by the end of it like this guy is just given up on life, right? Like, fuck it. They ended up shouting me gear on top of it and rolling me joints. And one guy's like, he knew it was a PT because making you write me a program. Like, you're joking, right? He has since died, but it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Fuck.
So, I mean, yeah, that was one time that it happened. Another time is when my partner, my fiance, maybe I shouldn't say this one.
That's up to you. I can remove it later if you want.
So I was sold to a criminal network as a cook.
Okay.
All right. Obviously, I'm not a cook.
I was going to say, are you a cook?
No. I could make really good cutters. That was about it. But she didn't tell them that. And they were going to give her X amount of gear for a cook. Okay. So I get a phone call, and being cooked that I was at that stage, I didn't even question it. And these guys are like, oh, come on down to this address. We've heard about you. I'm like, oh, yeah, my reputation precedes me.
I don't mean to laugh at that.
Yeah,
it's just...
It is stupid, though.
It's not with your face. You just said it.
So I walk through the door, and when you walk through the door and you see like a room with 5 or 6 guys in there, and all of a sudden you feel a shotgun at the back of your head, you sit down.
Fuck, man.
Yeah. So I was there for like 2-3 days getting the shit kicked out of me. Right? They're wondering, like, why is this guy not making any gear? Like, we've beaten him to a pulp. And I'm like, I don't know how to do it.
Shit.
To the point where I'm thinking to myself, I've got to get out of here. Otherwise, I'm dead. Right? So I dropped a friend's name that I knew would get their attention. He was part of a rival group. So they look at me and go, yes, man, if you're not telling the truth, it's going to get worse for you. Yeah. Luckily, I was telling the truth. Right? The guy whose name I dropped is the guy that had given me my dog at that stage. So he comes on down, and the doors just fucking swing open like a movie moment. Grabs me, takes me outside. This guy's a scary dude, man. Lovely guy. One of my favorite people in the whole world, but scary when he got angry. As soon as we walked out, all I felt was this thunder punch to the side of my face.
Wow.
He goes, mate, never drop my name. He goes, I'm happy. I'm glad that you're alive. He goes, but never drop my name again. I'm like, okay, can we go home?
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah.
How far in? At what point is this before your rehab? Detox, not your rehab.
No, this was maybe like a year or so.
Okay, so you were heavy in like.
Yeah.
I got to ask, because you sort of mentioned it before about mental health, man. Are you seeking ongoing counselling for all that sort of shit?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I ended up really connecting with a lovely psychologist that my solicitor introduced me to, because he told me, because we need to get a psych on board. And he needs to sign off. Because, but first, you got to go see her. She can't just write like a bullshit statement. She goes, this woman's a professional. So I went there, and we built a pretty good rapport. She really gelled with me, and she was the first kind of person to tell me that what I went through, it's okay. Like, it happens. It happens to people, and like what you do from here on out, is what's going to define you as a person. So she was behind me 100% of the way, and I was seeing her for close to 6 months at that stage. She told me to go do urinary drug analysis weekly. Well, I did that. And then she wrote like a 7-page report for the court, right? And at the end, it said that unequivocally she believes that there is no chance that he could ever reoffend. And it's one of the reasons why I stayed clean as long as I have.
That's massive.
Yeah.
Unequivocally, no chance.
And even the magistrate goes, look, I understand that she holds you in very high regard because there's zero chance of reoffending. I'm like, I'm going to prove you wrong. And not even a parking ticket since then. Although recently, this is like the PTSD from everything coming back into it, right? I get pulled over going to train at the gym. This is going back during the last lockdown. So I'm coming out of John Street, near the park, Oakley Ground, and I see this police car going the other way. I'm like, oh, yeah. The sirens are going to go on. Once they scan my number plate, they're going to go on. And they did. They did a full U-bolt. They pulled me over. Like, here we go. I give them my ID. I'll go, obviously, you've run the plates. Yeah. Mind you, by this stage, I've already worked with a lot of police members trying to train them in how to deal with, approaching people that are affected by ICE, mental health issues. Obviously, I haven't worked with these two. We start talking. I go, okay, once again, I have to prove who I am. By this stage, one of the cops has come up with, obviously, his hand on his side piece like this, right? So the alarm bells go off in my head because you don't want to feel that. That's a fear that you don't want to feel ever again in your life. Because at any moment, if this person gets triggered, he's going to press the trigger. There goes your life.
Yeah, you see it on the news every fucking day.
Exactly.
That's the question of how they got there. Yeah.
So they're asking me about the car. They say, oh, your tires are bald. I'm like, is that really what you pulled me over? Because is there anything that shouldn't be in the car?
No. Your tires are bald. They saw that from the side of the road.
That's right. No, there's nothing that shouldn't be in the car. I go, I've got some maple syrup somewhere. And they go, it's because it's not, I usually eat non-sugar stuff now. I go, but, you can test it if you want. We started having a bit of banter and it was like, it's okay after that. And she goes, oh, have you used anything? One of the cops, she asked me. Like, no, I haven't used anything in 7 years. And so why were you using? I don't really have to answer this question. I go, but I'll tell you. I was having a hard time. I was a drug addict, and I pulled out my business card. She's having a look at it. And she goes, oh, thanks. She goes, so we wasted your time. By this time, it was too late, right? Because the PTSD had kicked in completely. So instead of going to the gym, I turned around and went home, closed the curtains, and I passed out for the rest of the day. Just crushed. Because it was just another reminder that you can't escape your past. You just have to keep pushing.
Especially, man, like, dude, just being from these areas, being Greek, like even just that as a human being. You know what I mean? There's a perceived notion of who we are before we've even stepped outside.
Of course.
If we're fucked up, it's all over. You know what I mean? It's fucked. Man, how involved are you in everything now? Like, as far as like your business and like mentoring and all that sort of shit?
I'll put it this way. During the last 2 lockdowns, I took on clients for free. Yeah. I had to. Yeah. Because people were reaching out and I could see myself, I was struggling. Look, realistically, I shouldn't have taken on as many as I did because it took its toll on me. To the point where there was family problems that I had that I couldn't deal with properly. At the same time, sitting there going through like a serious bodybuilding cut with my coach, like being very gung-ho, like,
I've seen your videos.
Guys, we're dropping calories. And I'm like, this is not going to work out well. Mind you, I've got some guy like freaking out. And this is what actually triggered me into taking on clients for free, right? Because one of my ex-clients reached out to me. He goes, listen, man, because of lockdown and everything, because I've lost my job, right? Because I've lost my job. My missus has left me. He goes, the only thing I know how to do right now, is sell drugs. He goes, I need to leave. He goes, what do you think? I can't tell you what to do, man. It's totally up to you. I go, you know where it took you the first time, right? Do you know where it's going to take you this time? It could be worse. You could never come back from this. But that's the level, like, this is the kind of shit that was never reported on the news. About the way that, fair enough, they were saying that, people are losing their businesses, but people are losing way more than that. Because to lose 10 years of sobriety, That's big. So I took them on for free. And it was hard, man. It was hard because with drug addicts, you got to be on the ball. Because you let down your guard, it could bleed into your life too. Because you end up identifying with them. I'm an empathic person. Right? We sit here together. Like, I'll leave from here. I've got your energy for the rest of the day.
Yeah, dude. Like I said, I thought I knew you, man, but like I did not know any of this. You know what I mean? It's just like, fuck, man. Like, I'm carrying this. I'm putting it on my podcast for forever. You know what I mean? As long as I keep paying the bill, it's going to be there. You know what I mean? You mentioned before talking about alcohol. What's your relationship with alcohol?
I'll occasionally have a beer.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a gin or whatever. I've never really been big into the alcohol. Like, when you're young, you kind of have your daily ounce with it, You go out with the boys, you get plastered.
Yeah.
But it never really appealed to me. It wasn't something that, drew me towards it. Like, I got to have it. Like, if I don't have it, like, I start getting shaky or anything. Yeah. So, I think I'm lucky in that respect.
See, that's the
because it's very, very readily available, right?
Oh, it costs.
Whereas with ice and the rest of the stuff, you could kind of get away from it if you get away from certain people and certain areas. Like, how are you going to get away from a bottle? It's like there's one in every corner.
People, what really sort of bothered me was when I first moved out on my own back in like 2013. People assumed that I was going to be drinking the place dry just because of, whatever rep people thought I had. The irony is that when I moved into my own house for the first time, I literally stopped drinking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
There was no external pressures, man.
Yeah, I stopped drinking. I had too much responsibility. And it's like, and I still say this, man. I was in Noble for eight years, roughly. I not once got drunk in my own house. I had guests over, people drank, I hosted a few events, but I literally never got drunk in my own house. Never. And people still didn't believe it.
That's because you didn't need to, man. You had your own space.
Yeah.
You didn't need to escape from your own space because it was yours.
100%. And that's the thing. Like the other night when I went out with that mate, I hadn't seen her in a year and a bit, maybe once or twice. We hadn't gone out. I knew that I would have any pressures of work, like serious work, that would keep me bound the next day. No driving. I'm like, fuck it. We sort of just went, balls to we just put our hands up and said, nah. Like we've had a lot to
catch up on.
Catch up on and mourn for the last year and a half, and it just got a bit out of hand. But those days are far and few, man. Like far and few. My own birthday, I don't get fucked up. I did last time was years ago.
When's your birthday?
December.
It's coming up, huh? Mine's coming up soon too.
Yeah, when's yours?
November 27th. Same as Bruce Lee and Jimi Hendrix. A speed freak and an acid freak. Ta-da!
To this day, you remember the cryptic crosswords and then the who am I's in the paper. I still remember being, fuck, man, it would have been like 2005 or 6 or something, working at this place in Mulgrave, and we used to do it, the who am I, every day at lunch. And someone just got up and said, all right, I'll read it out, because I usually read it. Someone else read it for once for that day, and the first question was, I was born in San Francisco in 1943 or whatever, in the year of the dragon. I just went, I am Bruce Lee. Done. Didn't wrap the points.
Boom, mic drop.
That was the last time I ever played, man. Fucking hell. He was a speed freak.
Yeah.
Bad.
He loved it.
Yeah. But you only ever read about the purity of his training and his diet. He just rubbished it. You just shook your head.
He's a cocky guy, man.
Gala.
How do you die at that young from like an aspirin, man? That means your blood was thick as hell. Your blood gets thick when you're dehydrated.
Yeah. He was like 0% body fat, like something stupid.
Below, it wouldn't be 0.
No, but it was like, I'm just saying.
Like 4%, 5%.
It was fucking ridiculous.
And for him to have strength at that low body fat, that says something, man, because I'm telling you, speaking as someone that's gone through like a mild cut, I would say.
Yeah.
Not even like at a bodybuilder level, like the way the bodybuilders actually do it. Like I said earlier, I hated every single second of my existence. I woke up and all I wanted to do was eat. And every second that I wasn't eating was like hell. I'd be waiting for my coach to like message me back. I'd message him at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, right? Because that was a check-in. Obviously, this guy wouldn't check it until like about 9 o'clock, and he'd get a message back going, I'll touch base with you later. I'm like, what do you mean later? I don't even know how many calories I can eat today. I've dropped this much, weight. At 6, 7, 8, 9 p.m., he'd message me back, okay, like, let's go through your, everything that you've gone through this week. I'm like, you motherfucker. I've waited all day, man, all day. So getting back to Bruce Lee, he would be, if he wasn't using anything chemical on top of it, I doubt he'd be very happy chappy. Because that guy was strong.
Oh, ridiculous.
He was strong and he was cognitively really switched on.
Yeah.
For someone that was that lean. Now, you could argue the point that he was probably genetically blessed to be that lean. But, he looked kind of fluffy when he was younger.
Fluffy. Fucking hell, man. What a journey.
Yeah, it's been a long time, man.
What are your thoughts like moving forward from where you are now?
Look, at the moment, I'm trying to amalgamate my program as much as possible, right? I want it to be one part exercise, one part counseling. I'll find that people open up once they've been broken down a little bit. And a good way to do that is through exercise. I found this out at the rehab when I was taking the clients to the gym, man. You put them through a really tough session, and then you ask them some questions while they're trying to catch their breath. They can't lie to you. They don't have the capacity, they don't have the faculties to lie to you at that stage. And some of them just open up by themselves, because they've got those endorphins flowing through the body. And it's really, exercise is really important in recovery. So good. It burns off all those fat cells that are carrying all that junk that, went in your body over those years, man.
I got a question, man. What would you say you would need? Like, say, for people right now that are either struggling with addiction, whether it's booze or drugs or whatever, what do you reckon these people need?
They need a mentor.
Yeah?
They need someone to believe that they can do it. Because going through that lifestyle, it kind of gets reinstated over and over in your head that, you're a piece of shit. You'll never be any better. You'll never do any better. Because of the people that you hang around with, and sometimes by your own self-talk. So when you've got someone that sits by your side saying to you, you're better than this. You can do it. Sometimes that's all you need.
I'll be honest, man, that touches home bad because, we're from the same sort of cultural background as well, man. We're around the same age. We would have dealt with the same pressures and expectations.
Yeah.
People like me and you, by this age, we should have had 3 kids, 2 houses.
Oh, yeah. I've been told that heaps of times.
Standard. It's a standard thing that we hear. And if you're not married, you're useless.
Yeah.
That's it. You could be $300,000 a year job. You could be doing everything. But if you're not married, you're fucked.
Yeah.
And so for me, and based on everything that everyone that I had around me and all that sort of shit, my life honestly started changing when I got myself 2 different mentors at 2 different points, pretty closely together.
Yeah.
And they were completely unrelated, to me, unaffiliated, third parties. And they were both the first people to say, you deserve more than where you're at. You're capable of more than what you believe you're capable of.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to start assessing what's in front of you because you definitely deserve better than what you've allowed yourself to sort of accept.
100%, Tim.
And I started doing that, and it slowly started cutting out toxicity from around me. People, distancing myself. And I can honestly say that, when I went to Europe, I disappeared in 2009 for 3.5 months. I was meant to stay longer. I ended up coming back for work. As soon as I came back, after you had that break of 3 months, and it's just okay, I don't miss any of you people.
Yeah.
You need to go. And then once I got these 2 mentors on board, slowly shit started tracking because it's fuck, man, I can put work towards something and I am worthwhile, And whether I'd fucked up or not in the past, to predetermine certain things about me, what people perceived of me, whatever, it didn't matter because it's you know what? Redemption is a long road, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then half the time, people that think you're seeking redemption from, they're not deserving of it anyway.
No, exactly.
That's the key thing, And it's taken me a long time to learn that, man. Even now, I'm only starting to accept that I've done things that a lot of people strive towards, but I never even valued it because I was never told it was valuable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man, I'll be honest, man. I had an auntie once turn around to me and say, your parents are very proud of you. I'm like, well, it'd be nice for them to say it to me. You much that fucks with you?
I think the first time that my parents told me they were proud of me was in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, they've said it over the years, right? But to hear the old man go, "Ime perifanos," like that choked me up a little bit. I've been in a 40-year-old man.
Yeah. Oh, it's insane, right?
Sometimes you just want to hear those words because when you're young, I remember this is one of my most vivid memories, right? And this thing scarred me when I was a kid. Going to school and then coming home, and the old man had a letter from the bank. He didn't want me to read it. Like, I didn't know finance and stuff like that. I was 11, 12 years old. You
know how uncommon that is, man. Being a translator for your parents, you're 10 years old.
Yeah.
And
I'm sitting there trying to translate this thing, and he goes, "Γιατί σε στέλνουμε στο σχολείο? Γιατί πληρώνουμε?" I'm 11, 12 years old. I don't understand what this thing's saying.
So why are we sending you to school? Why are we paying money for an education?
Yeah.
Seriously. You want a 10-year-old to know what a financial paper is.
Exactly.
Why didn't he learn it?
And that fucked with me for years, right? So you kind of reinstated this thing in my head that, okay, it's all about money. Money is where I'm supposed to be at. I have to make money in any way possible, which led me a little bit, pushed me towards the drug dealing side of things, right? Because that's easy money. And it's very easy money.
Then you add that whole reverence sort of thing where you're going to be looked at in light.
And then when you're using and you're very outgoing and φαίνεσαι πολύ χαρούμενος σήμερα. When you're coming down or you've decided to quit, right? And trying to do it on the slide so no one understands it. You're πώς είσαι έτσι, μουτρωμένος, how can you be like this? So it reinforces in your head, okay, well, no one likes me when I'm straight.
That's sort of, it's taken me a long time to have these conversations with my parents. I sort of drew the line in the sand with my mum a little while, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
She was complaining about money and blah, 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 and don't have assets, typical WOG shit.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to her, hang on. I remember when we were kids, we went on holidays nearly every year. We didn't go to Greece every year, but we'd go to Queensland or just trips, long weekends. I go, you chose to do all that sort of shit. I go, I can't afford to do that now. And I work full time. And she goes, I remember she said to me, well, that's what we valued. I go, and more power to you. I go, you valued attempting to keep a family unit together and experience something, which, I know a lot of people our age, especially Greeks, their parents never did. They worked 7 days a week running a fish and chip shop or fucking whatever it was.
Yeah.
They never went away for weekend trips, whereas my parents made the effort to do it. Having said that, they spent money on shit like that.
Yeah.
So they didn't buy a third house, to rent out or have money just stockpiled for when they retired or when their kids needed it later. I go, how is it my fault? How are your financial decisions my fucking fault or my problem or my responsibility? I was a kid. You chose this life for yourself, not me.
Yeah.
Same with the old man. When I pulled him up, and I don't want to punch down on him. He's not in a circumstance to be punched down on. But I made it was sort of my old man realizing that I was a grown adult now, and I didn't care his hardships, whatever he thought they were. Bro, I work just as fucking hard. And I work a lot harder now than you ever did. Because I work 7 days a week and the phone doesn't stop ringing.
Yeah, man. What they don't understand is that stresses have changed over time.
Exactly.
And what was monumental for them back then is nothing for us now. Because there's stresses that we have to deal with on a daily basis that make, the things that they went through look insignificant. Right? And there's stresses, personally, I can't get into a relationship right now and raise a family. I can't pass on that kind of generational trauma to them. I refuse to.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Because I know, there's things that I'm still dealing with, right? And how would I do that with a partner?
Dude.
With kids.
I've said that every time someone tries to pull up the marriage card or the kid card to me, don't you want a son? It's mate, the generational trauma that you're talking about, I go, I've had to identify and work towards getting rid of. Just even being able to communicate, man.
Yeah.
Like we said, Greeks don't talk, ever.
There's none of that.
No, ever. You know?
Which is weird now because my old man's gone really attached to my dog. Actually, my first dog that I had, the pit bull, that thing, that broke me once again in ways that I did not know I could be broken, Tim. Because that dog gave me unconditional love when I came out of addiction. Okay? To the point where I'm going to tell you the story now, where I came out of the bungalow one day after a long run on the treadmill and I see the dog lying on the grass. I'm like, this is not right. Take it to the doctor. He's bleeding into his chest. Right? And he's a pit bull, right? So he's got fight in him. He's still trying to go for a walk and all this kind of stuff. Long story short, after a while, this is where I disconnected with religion too, okay? Because the old lady's like, πάμε στην εκκλησία. Okay, let's go to church. Let's pray for the dog, okay? Let's pull all our faith into faith. Dog ends up not doing too well. And they didn't have the balls to tell the doctor we need to euthanize the dog. It fell on me. Now, up until this point, I've identified with the dog as myself. We've both come from abusive backgrounds, kind of me from the drugs, the dog from being mishandled by people. And my promise to the dog was, I'll never hurt you. Okay? So at that moment where we had to euthanize him, that was me breaking that oath.
Yeah.
Right? Because no one else could do it. So I start bawling my eyes out in the middle of the vet, right? Broken, completely broken. The dog rips at the IV where they're trying to euthanize it and comes to me. I'm saying this right now and I'm actually I've got goosebumps all over my body. They tackle him, they put him down, and when you see the light just fade from someone's eyes, it was like that, man. I saw that. And that messed with me. So back to the psychologist after that. Couldn't deal with life. And that's when I saw my dad break. It was the first time I've seen, my dad's father had passed away and he didn't even cry a single tear. When the dog died, he broke for months and months. And then I was scanning the RSPCA one day because a friend of mine wanted to get a dog, and I saw a dog that looked exactly like him, which is my current dog, Chevy. And he'd gone through a bit of abuse, this dog as well, right? They found him on some rural property with a 30-kilo chain. But he was still smiling. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be my dog. I'm going to grab this little guy. We went down there, we grabbed him. He's got an attitude problem already. I'm like, yeah, he'll fit in well. And my man got so attached to him, to the point now, if I'm outside having say a coffee, right, or a cigarette, and I'm sitting there with the old man, he probably won't even talk to me for 2-3 minutes. As soon as the dog comes out, "Bueno chevismo." I'm like, you motherfucker. Are you capable of love this whole time, just not towards me? As they're getting older, they're getting a little bit wiser, but, damage is done.
I refuse to believe that respect has to be paid to the older generation just because.
No, never. If you want respect, you have to give respect.
Yeah, you got to show that you're willing to deserve. You deserve to.
That's right, to be respected.
Yeah, age is fuck. No, fuck that. I've gone into so many arguments with the old wogs at barbecues, man. They look at us like we've got it all easy. It's like, motherfucker, I took 3 hours off to come to this barbecue. I went back to work as soon as I get in my car. Do you know what I mean?
I get it.
And it comes back to that working smarter, not harder shit. You gotta...
they can't wrap their minds around it, man.
No.
Unless you're physically broken and twisted into a pretzel or a rope, you haven't worked hard. Are you kidding me? I used to, my drug habit flourished because I was working back-to-back shifts. I'd start Wednesday night, security, and I'd come back Monday morning the next week. And we're talking working at front doors of nightclubs, inside nightclubs, working at the commission housing in Collingwood where people were chasing each other with fucking syringes and samurai swords. And for $14.60 an hour, man. I wasn't making big bucks, you know what I mean?
Minimum wage now for 16-year-olds.
And that was basically just a bit before overtime back then. People don't know how easy they've got it.
You know what kills me is when the old wogs talk about us wasting money and all that sort of shit. And it's like, hang on, man.
What am I going to do with it?
What do you want me to be doing?
Am I going to take it with me when I die?
Yeah.
Like, have you had this one? Okay, like, we did all this for you. I didn't ask you to.
No.
Like, enjoy your life, man. Enjoy your wealth. Like, what are you going to find afterwards? I'm like, I didn't ask you for anything. Yeah.
I'm not going to criticize you when you go.
Exactly. Like, when it's your time to go, I want you to be happy and have lived your life.
Not the complaints.
Yeah. Not be thinking, we need to leave something for our kids behind. If I'm not able to make anything for myself, then I don't deserve it.
Jackie Chan said the same thing about his kids. He
Did
goes,
he?
I'm not leaving my fortune to my kids because if they can't make it themselves, then chances are they're going to just piss it away anyway.
Yeah.
It's 100% true. I think every person within their means and ability should be able to leave their own form of legacy behind. You know what I mean? And that's why I fell out. Big reason why I fell out with religion years ago. Big reason why I fall out with the whole fate thing and bullshit and blah, blah, blah. It's like, you can't expect a kid in Ethiopia who hasn't got food to suddenly change the world. Because the chances are they may not get another fucking meal before tomorrow. You know what I mean? It's like, fuck off. How does your logic fit into that whole equation?
I fell out with religion a very long time ago. I mean,
Yeah.
the dog part of it was a nail in the coffin, no pun intended.
Yeah.
But I just can't get behind an all-knowing deity that is concerned with whether people believe in him or not, or him or her or not.
Yeah, whatever.
We are the chosen few because we believe in this deity, but the hundreds and millions of other people that are doing really well, are going to go hell.
Yeah.
Who are you kidding?
Or they can just repent on their deathbed and go back into the club.
Of course. Straight away. And it all happened in 7 days,
Yeah, and don't forget, the universe is expansive as it is, but we're the only people that matter. You know what I mean?
I would sooner subscribe to the alien ant farm theory than that.
Alien ant farm theory?
Yeah.
Which one's that?
The fact that we were rapidly evolved by aliens from extraterrestrials from outer space to be their servants. For me, that holds more water. Because it could be scientifically based.
Yeah, well, it's not disproved, so disprove that. Get behind it. Fuck me dead, man. What do you reckon? What do you reckon people getting the support behind them, all that sort of shit? What can someone do that's literally struggling? Let's say from alcohol, drugs, getting the help.
I think first step would be go see a GP, get on a mental health plan. Yeah. Because once you connect with a good psych or a psychiatrist or whatever you connect with, you can start to tackle a problem. Like if it's still not working, there's plenty of mentors out there, man. There's plenty of free mentors online. There's plenty of services like the anti-ice campaign. There's Lifeline you can call, if you're really in a depressed mood. I know they've been inundated with phone calls recently. Like I think they had something like 5 or 6 calls every minute during the announcement of the last lockdown, which is unprecedented. This is people that are struggling with suicidal thoughts.
My concern is the taboos, like we said, culturally, people not opening up and shit like that. What do you reckon we can do to break that?
I think we need to educate the families.
Yeah?
Yeah. And the families nowadays are becoming a lot more flexible with that, because I've actually had to do interventions with families recently. And one of the examples that I give you is a friend who's I'll keep confidentiality out of it, right?
100%.
He asked me to go and speak to his parents because his brother has been experiencing addiction and all that. So I'm thinking, okay, so what's he using? He goes, he's not using it at the moment. So why am I coming to your house? Don't you think that's going to be a little bit, counterintuitive? They wanted me to approach the guy, come over for a dinner and suss him out and take him under my wing. I'm like, if he's not using, there's not real much I can do, right? And plus, he needs to ask me for my help. I can't be the one that imposes my help. And then it kind of gelled to me while I was having a conversation, because there's 2 parents. There was the mom and the dad, the brother, the sister, the brother-in-law, and everyone was really concerned, right? Everyone was there except for the addict. And I kind of started to zero in on what the actual problem was. It was the parents.
Yeah.
Specifically the mother couldn't let go. So they were under they wanted to go away sooner or later on the holiday and make sure that he's all right. Like, okay, take him with you if you don't trust him. Oh, but we want to go on a separate holiday. Well, don't take him with you.
I love your nonplussed face. It's like, well, what do you want? What do you want from me?
Exactly. Like, and they had so much trauma behind them because they felt like they failed him.
Yeah.
Like he started doing drugs because they failed him. I'm like, okay, this is what we need to tackle right now. And I told my mate, right, I go, look, the first person that we need to help is not your brother. It's your mum. Because once you was talking to me, she started crying. I go, listen, you've done nothing wrong. You've done nothing wrong. Like, it's not a reflection on you or your family or, the things that you've sacrificed for your family. Some of us just use drugs and it catches up with us. It doesn't mean that you failed in any way. And she starts crying. And I had to reiterate it over and over until I broke her. Right? And afterwards, being empathic as I am, right, I went home, I felt like shit. All these different people's energy all over me. They felt great. They sent me a video, like they're playing fucking table tennis and stuff. And my mate goes, my parents haven't felt this good in ages. I'm like, fantastic. I'm going to go hang myself.
Yeah. I'm a vessel for everything that they released. You know what I mean?
But sometimes it's just the family needs to be educated, Dim. And once the family is educated, then we can have these open conversations with, people that are struggling. And I think the home is where rehabilitation really needs to happen. And kicking someone at home is not always the best idea. Sometimes it's the only option left, right? Because if someone doesn't reach rock bottom, they're not going to pull themselves up. But rock bottom isn't always needed. It's not. You shouldn't have to experience rock bottom. Sometimes you just need someone to help you.
Yeah, you'd think that if a person was in a better place physically and mentally than broken, he'd be in a better position to actually
get clean.
Yeah, and just go forwards in leaps and bounds as opposed to the slow crawl and learning how to walk again.
Fuck yeah.
I think another thing is the denial thing. Expectations that we place on ourselves, expectations that have been placed on us, not recognizing that things are addictive, and that are forms of addiction.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people that just self-medicate on shit. I'm guilty of it. I used to self-medicate on stuff, zonk out, But people that maybe drink to excess every single night don't even know it's actually bad. You know what I mean? They might see people, maybe they saw their old man doing it. That's the only way they know how to actually deal with.
Monkey see, monkey do, man.
Yeah, exactly. So it's breaking that as well, man. And like you said, education and all that sort of shit. But then, where does it start? I mean, you take a typical mid-30s dude now, and he's got all these taboos and all these ideas of what strength is, pride, personal pride, all that sort of shit. How do you actually go around circumnavigating that now? How's a guy meant to actually do that?
It's hard.
Yeah, I know. I think it just comes down to communication.
If you look, you're going to get to a point in your drug taking journey where that facade of I'm strong, I can shoulder this by myself, and I can hide this from everyone, that just breaks away, right? And you will ask for help. Now, where you ask for help, that's going to be the issue. Because if your household's not educated enough, you're not going to reach out to them. Because you're going to be faced with resistance, right? And at that point, you don't need resistance. You need acceptance. You need to know that these people have your back no matter what. And unfortunately, we can't do that sometimes. Like myself, I wish that my parents were educated enough that I could have reached out to them and said, you know what, I'm struggling, man. Like, I'm really fucking doing it tough. Like, I've gotten myself into some shit. I've experienced this, and this. I need your help. But I had to be completely broken before that happened because they didn't understand any other way. They needed to see me like that.
Do you think there's a point when the responsibility and onus does fall on the person with the addiction, whether it's drugs or alcohol or whatever?
Definitely. I mean, it starts off with there's different models of addiction, right? There's the disease model and there's the choice model that everyone talks about. I personally think that they're one and the same. It starts with a choice and ends off in addiction, like a disease.
It's like, I'll be honest, like I've got people in my past who had an addiction, right? Or were addicted to, I won't name the substance or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they reached out for help, blah, blah, blah. And I was there all the way through.
Yep.
Until the point where it was like, you're not taking any personal responsibility anymore. None. And I'm literally up. It's 4 a.m. in the morning and I'm fielding phone calls. How much more am I going to do this, man? I go, I can't keep, I'm breaking now.
No, you can't. You can't take all that on, right?
Yeah.
At some stage, look, they have to, if they're asking for help, they have to accept responsibility. There's no two ways about it. Like, this is one thing that I've said to all my clients. This isn't a place that you're going to come to and think that, well, I'm going to engage with Nick and I'm going to get away with, getting a court reference so I don't have to go to jail.
Yeah.
That's not how this works. You engage with me the moment that you fuck up, right, more than once, because I can understand like a single sleep up, right, or even a second sleep up. I've done that.
It's going to happen.
But if you keep mistaking the fact that I'm your counselor for your mate, that's going to just let things wash away. You're sadly mistaken. I'll throw you in the slammer, man. I have no qualms about that. You have to hit them with the reality of the situation, so Dim.
I always say that people don't realize until it hasn't cost them enough yet. Once it starts costing them shit they actually care about, whether it's like a child or whether it's, you know what I mean?
Oh, I've seen families get torn apart, right? And the addiction still continues. Because the consequential thinking is not really there yet. Right? It's cost them something, right? But if there is underlying mental health issues, they can't understand that it's cost them something. It's a very tricky, I don't want to call it a disease, right? But for the purposes of this conversation, let's call it a disease, right? It's a very tricky disease. Because you can't just define it in a single way. Like, it's each person's addiction is completely different. Like we said earlier, what came first, chicken or the egg, right? Some people will get into it because of mental health, because it might actually balance them out initially. Or other people will develop mental health issues because of it. Like, I didn't know that I had the ability to be paranoid, almost to the schizophrenic side of things, until a few years into it. Before that, I was fine. Like, I had a couple of issues, like anger issues and stuff, right? But it wasn't until I've been awake for, 13, 14 days that I thought, oh, well, I'm hearing voices. That's not right.
I remember a time I was in my house, I was in Noble, and I was in the kitchen and I was just trying to prepare something, like I was cooking something on the stove. And this was at my height of like anxiety and reliance on codeine. So I was just shaky as fuck.
Yeah.
And I remember going up and down the kitchen sink to where the stovetop was, and triple checking like every dial, it was like I was becoming OCD, like hard, and I was just doubting everything that I was doing. I'm like, this is wrong. No, wait, this is no, this is still. And I just kept going back, and just got in my head
because you're trying to gain control of that second.
Yeah, and I remember just stopping and just sitting down, and like I was shaking, and I'm just like, this is fucked. Like, this is, what am I doing? Like, what am I second guessing myself here for? Like, you know what I mean? I still remember that vividly, man. Vividly. Like triple checking dials on a fucking oven, man. And that's the skinny of it. That's the start.
But I remember checking my floor for close to 3-4 hours trying to find a little speck of meth that I dropped. That's how badly, like looking at the ground and picking up things that weren't even meth, like fingernails and skin, and trying to like smoke them in the pipe.
Shit.
OCD stuff.
How you feeling? You good?
I'm great. I feel relieved.
I didn't want to, what's it called, drag you down what's it called, a path you couldn't be exploring. But this is
no. I find this stuff.
How do you feel?
Cathartic.
I was going to say it'd be form cathartic. I know when I talk about it, but people ask me what I have done to like sort of move on from my mental health issues, PTSD, all that sort of shit. And it's really just undoing everything, man. And I find the best way to undo it is talk about it.
You have to unpack it.
You know what I mean?
Because the reason why we suffer from it is because we try to avoid it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Avoidance of sensitive topics is toxic. Because it compounds the problem, because then you have guilt, embarrassment. These aren't things that you want to keep long term.
How do you feel like revisiting everything? Like, I mean, it goes up and down, obviously, depending on what you're dealing with at the time. But I'm just saying, like, generally, when your mood's not fluctuating, how do you feel like unpacking all this shit? Is it just cathartic every time?
Not every time. Sometimes it can be triggering. Like we said earlier, there's things that I wish I didn't do and that I didn't go through. But it really depends on the person that I'm speaking with and their way that they are approaching the subject as well. Like I'll give you an example. Recently, I mean, I've told you obviously. I mean, may have read my story that there is a suicide attempt at some stage, right? So recently, a family friend called me up, and he had seen a suicide in Paran. A person had lost everything to lockdown and decided he wanted to kill himself in the middle of Paran, wherever the hell it was. And he goes, "Oh, that's such a selfish act." Because how could he do that? I'm like, hang on a second. You don't know this person. How did it affect you? How do you know this is a selfish act? Or why do you think that's a selfish act? In that person's mind at that second, I go, let me speak to you like as someone that's been down this dark path, right? The thing that's going through your head is not, I need this pain to end. It's, everyone will be better off without me.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, it's about not making other people suffer your existence. And you're sitting here telling me that it's a selfish act. How do you know this person? Have you lived their life? Have you suffered what they've suffered? Or do you know what their presence at that moment was doing to them?
Do you think you can teach empathy?
I don't think so.
As in,
I think people are either empathic or they're not.
Where do you reckon it's formed? Just literally just growing up, formative years?
Yeah, some people are just born more sensitive than others. Yeah. I found that it really opened up for me when I was going through addiction. And I don't want to sound like new agey or anything, all right? Because there is a line we have to draw somewhere.
I'm just picturing with your crystals right now. Sitting naked on the floor with a candle.
I found that people's moods, and I was able to read very easily. It was almost like a feeling, yeah? Like I'd walk into a room and I knew how people felt straight away. Whether it's, subconsciously reading body language or micro expressions without even knowing what the hell it is, or picking up some kind of energetic field off them. I could feel it. It was explained to me later because that's, you're an empathic person. You can feel what other people are feeling. Like, okay, and I get that. I get that to a point, right? What do I do about it? Because I can't keep, having other people's feelings invade my life and me not being able to shake them. So, over time, I tried to stop being empathic. Didn't work. So then I had to kind of switch things around. Well, if I'm going to feel like this, I might as well speak to the people. This is how I got into counselling.
I've had people say to me that, I'm either easy to talk to or blah, 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 blah.
You're very easy to talk to.
I think it's because, I grew up pretty isolated. Not isolated as in that I didn't feel love around me or whatever. But I think because I grew up under my sister's shadow for like most part. Mm-hmm. She looked like she was 2-3 years older than me. I was shunned into keep my mouth shut basically out of fear. And whereas I knew I had a lot bubbling inside me, I had no outlet. I had no voice. And then, you go through PTSD, you get bullied, all that sort of shit. You close yourself off. So I moved into things like, music and media, drawing and fucking making tunes and all that sort of shit. So that's how I got it out. And then after high school, wanting to sort of go the opposite way and set myself up to be the best version that I could be, I wanted to be around a network of people. So even when I've traveled and shit like that, I've always wanted to talk to people. Something interesting that I keep hearing is that, you're easy to talk to, blah, blah, blah. You ask these questions. Like, hang on, do you have anyone in your life that asks these fucking questions? Well, no. I'm like, then what are you not changing for yourself, man? I'm surrounded by people now that ask these fucking questions. You want to surround yourself with people that challenge and push and provoke.
Of course.
Because that's what's going to lead to personal development.
That's how you level up.
Exactly.
You can't keep dancing around subjects.
Yeah. Subject, state of mind, all that sort of shit. 100%, 100 fucking %. And that's what sort of really frustrates me about people who think they think they're next tier human beings. Because they're surrounded by fucking morons.
They're surrounded by yes men.
Yeah. Yes men or Neanderthals, man, that just don't care, have no interest in self-development, not even, barely self-preservation. You know what I mean?
And it's the same kind of in the rehab field too, yeah. Because a lot of the counsellors, they end up empathizing too much with the addicts to the point where they end up letting them get away with everything. Another example I'll give you. We had one guy, he just kept stuffing up. There's no, like, we'll call him for the purposes of this thing, we'll call him Matty, right? Matty just couldn't get his shit together, man. He was the kind of guy that, like, you know, the relationships between clients were forbidden. Like, he'd get into a relationship, you know, it was forbidden to do this thing, like, he'd do it. To the point where we were kicking out other addicts because they weren't getting along with him. But that's how much he had the other counsellors wrapped around his finger. I didn't care for that. All right, so we called a meeting one day and we're all sitting there and they knew how I felt about the subject. And they're all looking at me like, oh, you know, we're going to give Matt another chance. And they go, what do you think? I'm like, do you really want to know what I think? Because personally, I think he needs to go. And I think that you need to stop trying to be his mother. His mother put him in here for a good reason. Like, he needs to start getting his shit together. He doesn't need to be mothered again. And when rehab and all that fell up, because, you know, that place fell to shit, right? The director ended up going to Paris for a holiday, came back and shut the place down, right? But at the end of it, like, I had a chance to speak with Maddie, and he goes, man, I respect you, because you didn't take my shit. Because you fathered me the way that I was supposed to be fathered, because the way that my father didn't father me.
Man, last couple of months, I've been looking through a lot of my old music and shit like that, just going through some of the old stuff and looking back at some of the stuff I've created. And there's one line that I always come back to. It's from a track I just freestyled off one night. I was writing some verse. I can't even tell you the state of mind I was in because I don't actually remember doing it. I just know I've got the track. And the opening line to it is, I wake up and say, fuck it. This life doesn't cut it. I'm not bluffing. It's done once I work pills into my budget. And I sent it to someone in the States. And I'm like, man, what do you think of this shit? I just found it. He goes, man, that's fucked. He goes, that's too broke to die shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when the fuck would I have ever written that? Because that is so far away from where I am now. Do you know what I mean? And it's these little reminders. And sometimes I look at the date and it's like 2015. I'm like,
man, that's like when you get those memories from Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, what the hell was I thinking when I wrote that?
Yeah. But then that's the thing with mental health. Some days I'll wake up and that line triggers and I'm just like, fuck. Like, that's how I feel at that very fucking point. Despite everything that I've actually achieved.
That's PTSD, man.
Yeah. And that's what's scary, man, because on paper, when people look at my CV, if they don't know the trauma behind everything, on paper, people are like, how can you possibly be depressed? You've got all this that you've done and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
it's not that simple. It's not black and white. People exist in grey.
Yeah. If I haven't heard my parents tell me that they're proud of me, who gives a shit about anything else? Or, you know, if I don't have the 2.5 kids that I'm meant to have by now because that's what society has deemed important. Does it matter that I'm gainfully employed or have an open relationship with my friends? You know? Nah.
I never understood 2.5 kids. Like, where does that 0.5 come from? Is it like a midget? Sorry, to just like, I don't know, we're touching on like a serious subject there.
I'll be honest, yeah, this has been a depressing chat. It's almost like 3 hours. Actually, I've laughed like twice.
That's mad.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize.
I know, that's what happens when you come into here, man. This is what happens. People get sucked into the vortex. It's addictive.
You did not say the vortex.
Why? Why?
The vortex is, I don't know how to explain this to you.
Take your pants off if that helps. Let me toss it up.
I'm Greek, but I'm not that Greek. The vortex is a kind of visual that we're using back in, like, at the worst times. Like, when, I don't know how to explain this, man, without sounding like a crazy person.
Try.
Tell me about your mother. Like, when shit would go, like, really bad, it would be like the vortex is here.
Yeah.
You know, like,
sucking you in.
Yeah. That's what it was like. It felt like, and one night it felt like weird quantum jump between worlds, me and this person, man, that we're talking.
Yeah.
And we're driving, and all of a sudden he goes, man, we just stepped through the vortex. He goes, there's no one else here. And no shit, there was no one else. We were trying to get in touch with people. Probably we're too cooked to realize that, we may have been calling the wrong person.
You're trying to dial Jim, you're dialing John.
The point where you want to make a connection with someone, but no one's answering. Yeah. And you think to yourself, okay, well, no one gives a fuck about me. I'm stuck in the vortex. And when you said the vortex, it popped up in my head all of a sudden.
How do you counter triggers, man?
Hey?
How do you counter triggers?
It's hard sometimes, man. Sometimes you just can't, because they've been building up for so long, like micro triggers throughout the day, that when one in particular hits you, like you just floor you, right? And you just got to ride it out. That's the way I see it. Other times you just have to be mindful. Practice a bit of mindfulness. Just kind of remind yourself of how far you've come. The positive things that are in your life, the positive impacts that you've made in other people's lives. And try to talk yourself off the ledge a little bit.
Yeah.
Like certain sounds will trigger me. And like certain loud sounds. I can't be around screaming kids.
Really?
Yeah. Screaming kids, for some reason, trigger me. Hardcore.
Maybe for different reasons.
Like it's enough to like send me like out of that environment like straight away. I can't do it. I really can't. Or if somebody's attitude becomes all like like that over and over, and like it will trigger me to the point of rage.
That's what triggers me, man. Indifference.
Yeah.
When people act indifferent to me, whether I'm here or not, that's when I get triggered.
That drives me crazy.
That's when I do destructive shit, because it's just like, because I grew up like in that.
Yeah, dismissed.
Yeah, I hate being dismissed, being outright dismissed. And I've said that in the past to people as well, like people that have tried to just be dismissive or indifferent to me immediately after, say, even just some stern words. Like if we're just having a bit of conflict, conflict is inevitable.
You need conflict. You can't just be agreeing with people all the time.
No, conflict is inevitable, and conflict can lead to greater resolutions about shit. It's a sharing of ideas and ideals or whatever. But when someone dismisses me and is indifferent to me after that, as in like, well, I don't care if you're here or not, this means so little of my time. It's like, no, fuck you. Like that doesn't sit well with me. How can you say to me that I'm important, but
dismiss me?
An indiscretion of whatever it is, even a difference of opinion, you're now indifferent to me as a fucking person? Sorry, bro.
Yeah.
That sets me off in a spiral, man. Like hard.
Especially when it's someone close to you. Yeah.
Exactly.
And they've initiated this conversation, right? because they want your opinion. Yeah. And when you give them the real opinion or the truth, what they want to hear, but they've built up so much cognitive dissonance that they can't actually accept it, and they dismiss you like you're nothing, like you're a stupidity, right?
Yeah.
That is enough to drive me crazy. Like I'll burst through the wall like the Kool-Aid man.
Oh yeah. Fuck, man. Look, we've just touched on 3 hours just now. All right, we'll wrap it up.
No problem.
Look, man, I want to say honestly, man, like obviously I haven't had your journey, right? But I know the whole mental health dance, like you said, talking yourself off a fucking ledge. That for some of us, man, that's every day. That's every fucking 20 minutes.
Of course.
And like I'm telling you, safe space. This is the safe space. You ever want to call, man, fucking talk shit, by all means. I'm glad we had this chat.
Thanks for having me.
Nah, man.
I'll be more than happy to come back if you know anyone that wants to have a chat regarding mental health, whether it's fitness.
Yeah.
I'm down. I'm down like a clown, Charlie Brown.
This is up now, man. Once I save it, obviously I'll let you review it like a standard. I always let people review shit before it goes up. I'll do my best to edit out whatever has to be edited out. But like, man, I didn't know this about. Like I said, I knew some of this about you, but I didn't know the extent of like your counseling and like all that sort of shit. Man, that's who's doing God's work. You know what I mean? In my fucking eyes.
Thank you.
That's who's doing God's work. I hate the saying God's work.
Yeah,
like, no. Because if he existed, he would have done his work himself and wouldn't have to be dealing with his shit.
Or how about this one? He works in mysterious
Get
ways.
fucked.
He's working through you at the moment.
Get sucked dick. I'm tired. I need a day off.
Bad.
Doesn't exist though, yeah? Because the shit's still, like, that's the thing, man. Like, I've got a lot of friends that are social workers, counselors, you know, all that sort of shit. And it's like these poor fuckers, are, like you said, man, you become a vessel for all this negative energy because you want it to be transferred because you know how to deal with it, you know? And people get tired, man. People get fucking tired.
So you end up getting run down, and for everyone else, it's just like Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really what gets me angry, man. Like, these are the conversations we have to be having as opposed to glorifying the wrong fucking shit, pushing wrong ideals. We should be doing more to make things easier, man.
Hey, and like I said, I'm available anytime you need me.
You're a fucking legend, man. Legit.
I know this, but, you know, it's nice to be acknowledged.
I'm acknowledging it. I'm telling you that right now, man. I'm fucking acknowledging it because, you know, we can't, like we said, we come from a culture where we don't get patted on the back.
Yeah.
And this shit isn't valued. It's like, no, fuck you, man. This changes lives, man. This changes the trajectory of someone's existence.
To be honest, you know how good I feel at the moment after this chat?
Oh, good.
I feel fantastic. To the point, like, I've missed you. I'll be honest with you. I've been seeing you online, like, motherfucker, why doesn't he like allow comments on his comments?
Do you know why I did that, man? I did it because I found myself, okay, it's really weird.
Yeah.
I found myself cutting that off because I found myself becoming addicted to social media.
Okay,
right?
so the dopamine hit, huh?
I hate social media, right? And I cut off Facey, but then sort of supplemented it with Insta, right? Like, legit. And then I found myself I'd engage in these conversations and shit, and I was always going back to I'm like, I don't want to be doing this anymore. So I just went through a period where I just shut it off.
Completely.
And I'm like, it's good. I post my thought, my Instagram feed.
Yeah.
And it's all just personal memes and bullshit that I create, right? And
I'm always looking for the Kenny Loggins pictures. Every time I post them, I'm like, he's gonna like it.
And so it was good. Like, my Instagram feed is just a bomb site now for me to just go through and laugh at stuff, and it makes me happy, right? I find a joke that I posted, like, that was actually funny. It was good. Yeah. I pat myself on the back. Then I was watching something, and I can't remember who it was. I think I may have mentioned it on another podcast, but it was either Dave Chappelle or, fuck, I can't remember who it was a figure in Hollywood or like whatever, like a comedian or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, read the comments. Read the comment. Like, he said that he goes on YouTube and looks at comments by people, you know, on his videos and his material. And he says, don't shy away from the comments. Criticism is going to be everywhere, but it will help you learn, grow, appreciate, you know, your own work, appreciate people that appreciate your shit.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot more hate than there is positive, but both beneficial. Have got something valuable. And so I remember thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, you can't stray away from the comments. Like, you need comments.
Of course.
Because it's that interaction that's going to grow whatever it is you're trying to breed. Maybe one day I'll have my profile on private. We're not there yet.
Sooner or later.
Yeah. But honestly, like, that's where it started.
One crime at a time.
Yeah. I can't handle everything, man, at once. But it's weird because, like, yeah, I'd messaged you about coming on. Fuck, I can look at my messages now and find it, but it was during lockdown.
Yeah.
And then when you started sort of talking about it and I looked up your page, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how has he just sat in the reads and not come on? I've posted about my podcast 100 times. Where have you been?
I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. Like, I've been stretched in so many different, you know, directions recently, to the point where I started a course and then I had to quit almost straight away. And it took me forever to actually quit the course. Like, this is how bad my PTSD and anxiety was during lockdown, right? I didn't have the mental faculties to quit a course, and I just kept paying for it. Because I had too much on.
How many clients do you actually see at one point, like on your roster? That's a long sigh.
Yeah, man.
You just look flushed. It's just
because it's never really a number. Like, I could take on 2 today, right? By next Friday, it could be 10. And as a case manager, we're dealing with people with real complex problems, with comorbidities and stuff, man. That 10 feels like 20. And by the next week, half of them could be in prison or 2 of them could be dead.
Yeah. Actually, there's a question. How many long-standing sort of interactions, like, I mean, they're not friendships because you're a mentor.
I have a few, actually.
Yeah.
And I have a couple that I'm really proud of. One girl that I met going into this rehab who was just as bad as me, who is now studying behavioral psych.
Fuck, man.
So I literally drove her to every Monday and Friday to her AOD courses, right? None of the other counselors believed in her. She's just doing it to get out of trouble. I stuck with her, man. And now she's campaigned for spent convictions. So, spent convictions, right? For people that have gone through drug addiction and have been arrested and the record's all fucked up. So she's campaigned for rights. She's been on TV campaigning for rights. She's campaigned for women's rights, domestic violence. She's studying behavioral psych. I'm really proud of her.
Fuck.
She's amazing.
How long has that sort of been then? Like
It's been since 2017.
Oh, so literally your start of like...
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
And another guy that he ended up leaving the rehab when it shut down. His parents called me up because, his parents were well off, right? But the fact that him and I had a good rapport, like, it was really helpful for him. They engaged with me. I took him to the gym quite a few times. But this kid was like a self-cleaning oven. Like, he already knew what needed to be done. He just needed someone to kind of like push him along and kind of like believe in him, which I did. He already had the tools. Now his parents reach out to me on a regular, going, oh, you helped put our family together. I'm like, I did nothing. He did all the hard work himself. He really did. I was just there. Like, you didn't even have to pay me. I would have just hung out with him. Like, he was a cool kid. And those two I'm really proud of, man. I have other ones, but they come and go. Like, occasionally they'll be doing all right, and they'll be like, not doing too well. But these two are 100%. Like, they'll cut from my rib, so to speak.
That's good to hear, man. It's nice to have like a success story.
Definitely, because you end up getting a lot of failures too, man.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. Sometimes you feel like it reflects on you as a mentor or
like
coach.
A parent who thinks that they failed their kid for
Pretty much, man.
Yeah.
Except when you fail as a mentor, like, people die.
No shit.
And I've had that happen too, man.
Yeah.
And that's when you shut down for ages and you start reassessing things.
But it's not your fault.
Oh, look, definitely. Because, I've been an addict, so I know how addicts think. But sometimes you can't help it.
No,
because you do identify with these people. These are my tribe. I don't identify as an addict, but I understand them. I don't excuse their behavior, but I understand it.
All right.
Let's wrap it up.
Let's make this your final thought. Just one thing.
Yeah.
All right. Talking directly to people out there that have got issues with either substance abuse, whether it's drugs, alcohol, whatever, communication, emotional sort of instability and hindrances and shit like that. What would you say? What can you say directly to these people that may not have the tools to actually cope, or don't even know what they're coping with, but know they have an issue of some kind?
I would have to say, look, reach out. You're worth more than this. This doesn't have to be your final destination. Things do get better. They really do. And I know it's not like the wisest of words, but it's sometimes the only thing that you need to hear, man. Life does get better. It does not have to be like this. Yeah, because some people get used as currency in that industry. You don't have to be used like that.
Yeah.
You don't have to be abused. You don't have to suffer alone. There are people out there that want to hear this. Like, you don't have to take your life.
No, it's fucking massive, man. Thank you. That's all I can say, man.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
Hold up.